It's a great time for some Montreal Canadiens talk, especially if we get those talks involving the LA Kings, because, you take a look at the east side, you talk about Montreal, Quebec stuff, it's already Eastern Standard Time over there, so it's going to be 6 p.m. when we upload this video. Meanwhile, on the West Coast over here, the kids are getting out of school, they're chilling, just having a good time, relaxing, and getting their day, or the rest of their day started, I guess you could say. And so this is probably the best time to bring up a name that has gone over some very interesting transformations over the past year and a bit. Let's talk today about LA Kings second-line center Phillip Danault and everything he has done this season for Los Angeles that completely mirrors his entire package as a former Montreal Canadiens center. Now, the entire story is one that I think a lot of Canadiens fans in particular are aware of. Danault was just this random ragtag guy in the Chicago system that really wasn't doing all too well in that organization. He got traded over to Montreal in, what the heck was that trade? Was it Dale Weiss? No, it wasn't Dale Weiss. Wait, no, I think it was Dale Weiss. Dale Weiss and Thomas Fleischmann, or something like that. Either way, Phillip Danault was acquired by the Montreal Canadiens in a trade that was just kind of a, okay, cool, they got a draft pick kind of deal. I know Dale Weiss had his fans, and a lot of people will testament some very positive memories and emotions to Dutch Gretzky and his impact in Montreal, but at the end of the day, Dale Weiss was just traded along for this package. Phillip Danault was the guy who came back in that trade, and right away, he wasn't really super spectacular to kick off his tenure. He had 5 points in 21 games in his debut season with the Montreal Canadiens, but give it a calendar year, and all of a sudden in 2016-17, he has 40 points in a full season. The next few years saw Phillip Danault just transit up and down in that role of being a defensive-minded center that was one of the more underrated guys in the entire NHL, arguably the best pure defensive center in the game. I know Bergeron exists, but Danault was in those conversations as well. And he did all this while also putting up 40, 50-point seasons in the meantime. Now, in the shortened 56-game season in 2020-2021, Phillip Danault only had 24 points and 5 goals. It was a big testament to his game throughout the past few years, but he wasn't really ever a goal scorer. You'd see him get a lot of assists here and there, and that certainly was the case, maxing out as a 41-assist player in 2018-19, but he never was a top-of-the-line goal scorer. This was exemplified even more when the playoffs came around, and when the Canadiens went to the Stanley Cup Finals, Phillip Danault only had 1 goal in 22 games played. Now that's fine, because whenever people think about Danault and they think about the finals, they think about the Canadiens going past Toronto and Winnipeg and Vegas all the way to the finals, they don't say, oh, Danault was so underwhelming, we needed more out of Danault, he was not that good, he could have been better. Nobody says that. Instead, people say, yeah, no, Danault was one of our best players. He was one of the most important players. He was one of the guys that without him, we definitely don't make it as far into the postseason as we did. Phillip Danault was a top-line center, playing top-line minutes against other teams' top lines as well. Playing alongside of Brendan Gallagher and Thomas Tatar, these three formed one of the best defensive lines in the entire NHL, which is kind of strange when you think about it, because when you think about Tatar and Gallagher, and you think about what they provide on the ice, Gallagher's got that feisty spirit, he's really hardworking, and he's definitely a goal scorer too. He's had multiple 30-goal years. Thomas Tatar is a lot more of a sniper as well. He can get some plays done under pressure, etc. But these two just understood the game so well on the defensive side that having these guys centered by Phillip Danault made for an extraordinarily potent defensive shutdown line that could get some offense once in a while, but was mostly valued because of what they would do in their own zone or in the neutral zone, or what they would do to completely suppress opposition's forward cores from doing their things. We remember the Mark Stone video we made back in the postseason of 2021, talking about how the Canadiens shut this guy down. Stone is one of the best two-way players in the game, and his defensive side rivals how good he is offensively. The Montreal Canadiens, and that top line specifically, shut him down. Why? Because Danault. The same could be said about the majority of Toronto forwards in games 5, 6, and especially 7. The same could be said against the Winnipeg Jets. Granted, they didn't have Scheifele for most of the series, but the point remains. And so when Phillip Danault was expiring as a free agent to be, it was kind of difficult to put a price on what he was worth. Yes, he is one of, if not the absolute best defensive centers in the NHL. Purely defensive guys. He only had 4 points in the 22-game sample in the postseason run, but that was okay because he did his job. It's just, Marc Bergevin and co. didn't really feel comfortable with spending the amount of money that it would have taken to keep Danault on the Habs. Instead, he went to LA, where he signed a $5.5 million AAV contract until 2027. So, yeah, it's a pretty big contract, is it not? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. The guy's 29 right now. The contract expires in 5 years, so he'll be 34 once everything comes down and completes itself. But boy, oh boy, have we really seen the best case scenario out of Phillip Danault over here in LA. This is an article that the Kings posted on their Twitter account. It's on LAKingsInsider.com. With 20 goals and counting, Phillip Danault has been worth every penny for the Kings. And yeah, that's right. 20 goals! Phillip Danault has 21 goals and 20 assists for 41 total points this season with the LA Kings in 68 games. He's on pace for 25 goals and 49 points. Let's just round that up and say he is a 50-point player once again. Sure, has he had more productive seasons than that? Yeah, his 53-point campaign in 2018-19 is technically a better point-per-game pace because he had a whole bunch of assists on that year, but Phillip Danault has 21 goals this year. The guy had 4 goals all season in 2021. And if you combine 2021 and 2020 by themselves, 5 plus 13 plus the 2 in the postseason, the guy had 20 goals in the past 2 years of Montreal Canadiens play. He's got 21 goals now in LA. This guy has been crazy when it comes to putting the puck in the net. And it's one of these attributes that a lot of Canadiens fans would go out there and say, what the heck? He can do that? He could score goals that much? It's made even more funny when you realize that Marc Bergevin is now working for the LA Kings, so the guy that was trying to negotiate the contract to stay in Montreal initially is now watching this player in front of his eyes do some pretty non-Phillip Danault-like things in terms of scoring goals. Now, when it comes to the rest of his profile, yeah, he's still doing what Phillip Danault has been doing in Montreal. It's just he is no longer being forced to play first-line minutes. Why? Because the LA Kings have another guy by the name of Anze Kopitar that's over there, who is already a bona fide franchise center. So, right away, there's some pressure relieved from Danault to pretty much play his game to a greater capacity because he's not forced to do it as much as he was in Montreal. Here's the article on LAKingsInsider.com. Phillip Danault is a 20-goal scorer and counting. The question is not whether or not he was worth that commitment, it's whether or not he was the best signing of the offseason. From a Kings point of view, it's looking like money well spent. Anytime Todd McLellan was asked this season about the Danault signing, he praised the qualities that everyone knew about. But he always used something along the lines of, we believe he has more offense in him than his raw production showed in Montreal. Is 20 goals a validation of that? McLellan believes it is. I would think so, yeah, with more to come. I believe he can continue to play the way he has. Adjusting to a new team, us trying to figure him out, him trying to figure us out, it takes a while. That's what the first 10 games are for. But since then, he's been an offensive force. And you could see the money puck heat chart as to where he is getting his goals. He's got 1 from the far hash marks. Okay, that's cool. But all his goals are smack dab right there on the doorstep. Greasy goals, hash mark goals, right in the blue paint type of goals. Phillip Danault has found himself a home in front of the crease, and it's served him very, very well. He has a knack for a stick-on puck, and he may be one of the best players I've seen at positioning his body, so that he can keep plays alive. He's got something that we'd like to teach all of our players. We might have to pick his brain all summer. I have some great line mates, Danault said. It's working well, and my lineies are giving me opportunities to score. I get to the net and get my nose dirty. If I get to the front of the net, they just feed me. I try to be around there all the time. And this is one of the things that a lot of Canadiens fans would recognize, that Gallagher and Tatar just didn't really do all too much. These guys were potent shooters. Tatar, very much from the perimeter. Brendan Gallagher could force goals through sheer power of will, but when it came to just throwing it into the middle, just finding those rebounds, looking for those tips in front, who else but the LA Kings and their perimeter snipers like Edvinsson and Trevor Moore to set him up like that? It's been a very good transition here in LA, and in fact, the two line mates of Danault's, as we noted, Moore and Edvinsson are both producing pretty well as well. They are 4th and 5th on the team in points. They all have 41 points. That's kind of adorable, isn't it? So let me know in the comments all your thoughts about Phillip Danault and the entire transition he has had to becoming more of a goal scorer with the LA Kings since his time in Montreal. Are you surprised to see him producing the way he is? I personally am. But you know what? It's a very welcome surprise for sure. I love seeing former Canadians doing well, especially if it's on LA, right? The Kings, I've said it before, I do have a very big soft spot for the Kings and their fans especially. So let me know in the comments all your thoughts about Phillip Danault. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.